we getting on, folks? Luke here from LAGFX. We're back today with another Sunday Sessions video. If you aren't aware of what these Sunday Sessions videos entail, it is basically where both me and James go through some of the markets that we are looking at trading, and we highlight some zones and areas that we can look to work with on the coming week. This is a great way for not only you guys to learn from our analysis and our top downs, but also it gives you guys the potential to actually profit during the following trading week. What I suggest you do throughout this video is take note of some of the zones and areas that I highlight and apply them to your own charts and wait for price to play out as they do. If you guys have any questions regarding the analysis that we provide, please leave them in the comments below or message me or James directly. Now, without further ado, let's jump straight into today's Sunday Sessions video. So you'll see on screen I have the Great British Pound to the US dollar market. This is a market that we have been trading quite frequently as of recent. We have placed multiple positions, both buys and sells in this market, and we have taken complete advantage of both the impulses and the corrections that have been put in on the higher time frame structure. Now, what are my thoughts this coming week? Well, as you can see, we actually did take advantage of a short position. We capitalized on 178 pips, which gave us a risk to reward return of a 1 to 12. This generated me with over 24% returns on this trade itself, and I am wanting to see price actually continue trading us lower, breaking this previous low here. In doing so, that would be following the laws of bearishness, which is what I am expecting to continue from this market. Now, once we break this low here, I am expecting price to then pull back, trade us into another supply zone where we can then look to sell yet again on its next impulsive wave. Now, this means that we can look to buy into this market before we sell longer term. So what I'll be waiting for is for price to surpass this low here, for price to then break structure to the upside by looking at the fractal structure. Once we have confirmation that this impulsive wave has finished and that the correction is underway, we can then look to buy into this market, and then we can go and source a supply zone that will have been left within this impulsive wave here. Price should, in theory, trade us into this supply zone. A load of supply will be introduced, and that should flip the supply and demand balance, and we should then see price go on to trade us lower. So just as an example, say that we found a supply zone here. This is obviously without going down on the time frames, but say that we found a supply zone here. We would simply wait for a break of structure to display itself. Once it has, so all we'd want to see is the creation of higher highs and higher lows that would tell us that this market is now trading bullish. We'd simply wait for price to pull back into this area of price and then deliver us with good signs of bearishness. Once we have been delivered with that, we can then look to trade price lower, again taking advantage of that impulsive wave. So we may get involved in long positions. Let's say here, we would wait for the pullback initially, trade price up into the supply zone, and then once price taps into this supply zone, we can then look to go short, trading price lower, taking advantage of that wave. As always, we set our stop loss above these zones if we're looking to trade lower. If we're looking to buy into a market, we would set our stop loss just below the zones, as this gives us leverage and it gives us space to breathe when these markets put in the data that it does. Now, when it comes to our take profits, we always set our take profits just before the zones that we are looking to trade into, i.e. for this, we would look to place our take profit just below this zone, let's say, and then with our take profit for the sell positions, we'd look to ride it down to just above the last structural low that has been created. So that is my analysis for Great British Pound to the US dollar. If you want to highlight this zone as a potential area to sell from, then by all means do so. What I'll do is put the increments in on the charts for you now. Now, this is obviously without refining our entry completely, but price does look like it could trail us into this supply zone and then deliver us with that bearishness. We've seen that there is some inefficient structure below, and there has been an unmitigated last buy to sell candle left here. Now heading over to XAU USD, we have seen the deliverance of clear bearishness after tapping into this higher time frame supply zone, and I'm expecting this market to continue in this bearish manner. However, I do want to see price actually put in that corrective wave, trading us into one of two supply zones that I've got highlighted here. So pause the video and highlight these two zones out for yourself, as these are going to be areas we can look to potentially sell from. As you can see, price began trading us lower with great volume to the downside, but we have started to see that slow, and we've started to see more and more demand get introduced. We are seeing these impulses lessen in size, which tells me that demand is starting to pick up and should, in theory, start to take us higher. So again, once we are delivered with a break of structure to the upside, we can then wait for a pullback, giving us a refined entry. We can then buy into this market, trade price higher into one of two supply zones, where we will then be looking to sell longer term. So as I say, highlight these two zones out for yourself, wait for the break of structure to the upside, look to buy into this market into one of two supply zones, and then we can look to sell. Now heading over to Great British Pound, Japanese Yen, you can see that this market is trading us bullish. I'm wanting to see price trade us into this supply zone here. So if you haven't highlighted this supply zone out, highlight it now. The low of this supply zone is 166.04 and the high of this supply zone is 167.06. Now it is a very large zone, but this is because it is on the extreme higher time frames. So I am expecting price to do a complete flip and put in that next wave taking us lower. So with it being such a distance away, it means that we can actually look to get involved in buy positions before we do, evidently sell longer term once we have that end goal there. So what I've managed to do is go down on time frames for you all, and I've managed to find a demand zone that we can actually work with. You'll notice that I've highlighted a last sell to buy candle. Again, this has been left unmitigated and price needs to tap into this before taking its next wave higher. You'll notice that price is trading us into this and hasn't done so yet. So come the open, we can expect price to actually tap into that and then take its next wave higher. So I'm wanting to see price do this. Just get my path tool. Wanted to see price trade into this, deliver us with some signs of bullishness, and then we can obviously look to get involved. So we want to see a break of structure to the upside. So what we could do is we could actually wait for this high to be broken if we wanted ultimate confirmation. Once we've had a break of structure there, we can then wait for that pullback and then get involved in this market. Either that, or we can look at the fractal nature of this structure. If we go down to the 1 and 5 minutes, and we can wait for this bearish correction to finish and the introduction of new bullishness, and then we can look to get involved in this market. Having our take profit set all the way up at this supply zone, where we'll then be looking to close those buy positions and then looking to sell longer term. So again, that is my analysis for the Great British Pound to the Japanese Yen. If you've not highlighted the higher time frame supply zone, please go back, pause the video and do so. And if you've not highlighted this as a potential area to buy from, then again, pause the video now and apply that to your own charts. Now finally, just to finish off on the Euro USD, you'll notice that I've highlighted two potential buy zones that we can look to trade from on this market. Again, this is a bullish market at the moment. It is putting in a higher time frame correction. We saw price tap into this demand zone, break structure to the upside, but we never actually got the tap of this demand zone here. So I never got my entry confirmation, unfortunately. But what we have seen is price actually now recently tap into this demand zone. I am either wanting to see a rejection to the upside from here, or for price to continue to trade us lower, tapping us into this demand zone where we can then look to buy at a better price. As always, we want to see price penetrate one of the zones for structure to break to the opposite side. Once we've been delivered with that, we have our confirmation to enter. All we need to do then is wait for price to pull back, allowing us to get a refined entry, and then we can trade into this market, taking price all the way up into this supply zone here. As always, we would have our take profit just below this zone, and we would have our stop loss just below the demand zone we enter from. So if you have not highlighted these two demand zones, then please do so. Pause the video now and apply these to your own charts. And if you haven't applied this supply zone, this higher time frame supply zone on the charts, highlight this as well, as this is going to be a great area we can look to sell from on a longer term basis. Now, my analysis today has been very quick and very brief, but I hope I have given you zones and areas that you can work with. Ensure that you apply these zones and areas to your own charts, and make sure that you are delivered with the right confirmation in order to enter a market. Never enter a market preemptively, and always wait for the right confirmation in order to do so. In doing this, your probability of being successful with these positions that you're placing is going to be through the roof. Now, the good thing is, the zones and areas that I highlight and the direction that we are trading in is always with the prevailed trend, which in itself gives us a higher probability of being successful because we are trading with the majority traders. Now, I hope you guys have enjoyed this analysis. If you have done, don't forget to leave this video a thumbs up. All the support you guys provide is very much appreciated. Thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.